Hey everyone, John here, and we're around a month away from the demise of Wii U and 3DS's online services. But if you've been with us for a while, you may recall Pretendo. We checked them out around a year and a half ago, and they are fan replacement servers to Nintendo Network, not just preserving online, but also preserving Miiverse, which has been gone for a very long time. So I want to see if they're ready. How far have they come? And most importantly, please stick around until the end, because there's some very important stuff that I think is going to cause waves in the preservation scene. So I hope you watch most of our videos all the way through, but if you watch any of them, please see this one all the way through. But before we get to it, here's a word from our sponsor.
This video is sponsored by Ekster. If you're looking to upgrade your wallet, then look no further. Ekster's slim, sustainable, trackable, and durable wallets are built to last and impress. I got this one as a holiday gift last year, and I just can't imagine ever switching back to something less. I also recently picked up Ekster's leather Parliament wallet, which is particularly nice. It has room for up to 12 cards, and you can fan them out with a push of their signature trigger. I mean, how cool is that? And if you're always losing your wallet like I do, you can pair it with Ekster's tracker card. This tracker card is solar powered, and just 3 hours in the sun gives it 2 full months of charge. Right now, you can get up to 25% off your order by going to my link at partner.ekster.com/goodvibesgaming and using code GVGaming. I love these things. I can't recommend them enough. Thanks again to Ekster for sponsoring this video, and let's go ahead and jump right back into things.
Over a year ago, we shared with you Pretendo, fan service that replaced Nintendo Network on Wii U and 3DS. And given in a month's time Nintendo Network is shutting down across Wii U and 3DS, we kinda need this more than ever. And so the question remains, has Pretendo evolved enough to be that replacement? Is it ready? Last we saw it, what they were achieving was very impressive. Wii U could do private online games like Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon and Mario Maker. But at the time at least, what was more impressive was this wasn't just a preservation of online, but it was a preservation of systems we haven't had in years, such as Miiverse. Wara Wara Plaza was working, the Splatoon Plaza was working, messages were appearing in games. It was limited, but it worked, so let's see how far they've come. The bulk of what we're showing you today is free for absolutely everyone to use. You just go to their website, make a Pretendo account, and you're pretty much sorted. However, a couple of games in this video, like Super Mario 3D World and Luigi's Mansion 2, are only available to the beta testers, and that is a paid tier. But otherwise, Pretendo is entirely free. Pretendo works on both real hardware, being the Wii U and 3DS, but also emulators, like Cemu. So there's technically crossplay between Wii U and PC, and that's going to be really cool for player counts as the service gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So before we really start, what is Pretendo? Pretendo is a fan service set to replace Wii U and 3DS's online. And of course, at the heart of Pretendo is the Miiverse replacement, Juxtaposition. It looks a little bit different, but it functions exactly like Miiverse, so you can browse communities, leave posts, draw things, send private messages, upload screenshots, and so much more. There's a bunch of communities where you can share the most enlightened and insightful posts, and of course use game-specific functions like stamps. Essentially, everything here is what you remember it being. It's entirely functional. Given you have to use a different account for Pretendo Network, your friend list is different too, and that also works just fine. You can receive a friend request, accept it, click on their username, and go straight to their Juxtaposition profile. And from there, of course, their posts. I even organized some online games through this Miiverse replacement, and that's just super cool. Heck, last time Steve and I even used Wii U Chat, and I didn't use Wii U Chat when I could have in the moment, but because I can now, of course, I've got to use Wii U Chat. But Miiverse wasn't just a chat room or a forum. What made it special was how these messages found their way into games. In our previous visit, Miiverse integration worked, but not every time. Sometimes Inkopolis would load, and it would just be a barren wasteland of empty inklings saying nothing, but upon a few refreshes, messages. But this time, I didn't have any problems ever. The messages would be there every single time, in Inkopolis, in Wara Wara Plaza, even in Nintendo Land. Yeah, Nintendo Land works now. And what's cool about the Nintendo Land messages is they are contextual to the minigames. When you finish any minigame, it says, "Do you want to post a Miiverse?" And if you do, a little icon of that game appears in the message, and that is entirely functional. Last time Wind Waker HD's Tingle bottles only kinda worked. Most of the time I couldn't send them, but eventually it did click and I could send a bottle to the ocean, but I could never receive any. But this time, I'm sending them instantaneously every single time, and I can actually collect them now. They appear all over the ocean and the shores, and from there, you get actual Miiverse messages from the Wind Waker community to read on the gamepad whenever you want, which gives you something to do while you're sailing. This is perfect. This is exactly how the feature is meant to work, and it's finally back again after 7 years. We talked a bit about stamps earlier, but of course Twilight Princess HD was one of the games that used them. There were chests around the game that would give you Miiverse stamps, but they're kinda worthless if you don't have Pretendo. But now, you can paste them all over your juxtaposition posts, and just flood the feed with whatever you want. These finally have a use again. This was kinda sad officially, because Twilight Princess HD launched a year before the closure of Miiverse, so this whole functionality wasn't active for very long. But stamps were also in 3D World and Mario Kart 8, and they are working perfectly here too. Do the Switch versions have these stamps? I think not. In fact, speaking of 3D World, I forgot how alive Miiverse made this game. Miis are sprinkled all over the world map, with messages contextual to where they sent them. So this Mii right here in World 4 is saying, "Hey, welcome to World 4! Some of these Miis aren't okay though. Oh hell yeah, this Mii knows what they're talking about. You also get Miiverse messages at the end of every stage, which kinda makes a conversation about every level. It's very cool and connected. And while the Switch version of the game added full online multiplayer, it never added Mii Ghosts. Yeah, Mii Ghosts. This was a thing. Every time you start a level, ghosts of other players will race alongside you, which kinda shows you new shortcuts or where to find certain stars. In fact, it's very similar to what Mario Wonder eventually did, but only that's in real time, whereas these are recorded ghosts. There's a lot more 3D World features missing than I remember there being, but it's so cool that these are all back. And speaking of Switch conversions, Mario Kart 8 also has a pretty special feature that wasn't in the Switch version, and that's attaching a message to your time trial. Just makes these people feel more like actual beings and not just a list of times. And I suppose this is a good time to show the private servers working in full. Despite the Nintendo servers still being active for another month, we are not using them here. This is running completely on Pretendo. And given it's the Wii U version, that means Wii U rules like one item slot and fire hopping. But also, Wii U Battle Mode. This thing, whatever you want to call it, is never gonna die. Hooray. This is essentially what Battle Mode is, just kind of go back and forth, throwing items on actual racetracks. It's not very good. Believe it or not, but on Nintendo Network, Splatoon 1 is still incredibly active. Yeah, the first game on Wii U has a very dedicated fanbase, and that is awesome. That legacy never has to die either. Plus, the Pretendo team are able to use Spot Pass on both Wii U and 3DS, and that basically means sending small packets of data without actually patching the game. And in Splatoon's case, that means Splatfests. Custom Splatfests. They're entirely possible. Custom images, custom texts, custom time frames, and the best part, they are region-free. And that's something we're going to talk about in just a little bit with another game. Splatoon's functionality is arguably more complete than Nintendo Network's. The Plaza messages work. They appear in-game. This one right here is one that I even made on the community page. I can see my own post. That's cool. You can find players in matchmaking, arrange your own friend games. This is Splatoon 1 in its entirety. But what's pretty cool about Pretendo is it's not just focusing on the major games, but also some of the smaller features. Like in Pikmin 3, rankings are working. Yeah, the mission mode rankings, they fully work. A very minor feature, but it's still very cool to have. And while Pokken DX is doing just fine on the Switch, the Wii U Pokken has functioning online. So if you're someone who can't afford Nintendo Switch Online, you can still play Mario Kart 8 and Pokken and Splatoon and Mario Maker without paying a fee. And while I couldn't schedule an online match, Minecraft's multiplayer is also working. If you're ever in the mood specifically for Minecraft on the Wii U, you can play it with your friends. And right now, Mario Maker probably benefits the most of all because level up loading has been gone for a few years now. but it's fully functioning on Pretendo. You can make any level you want and upload it to their servers. Even the 3DS version of Mario Maker can play them as well, and that's rad. Now, the setback, of course, is these levels belong to Pretendo Network. You can't access the Nintendo Network one, and there are millions of them. However, they are addressing this, and this is very exciting. The Pretendo team have archived every single Mario Maker level, and once Nintendo Network goes offline, they're going to inject them into their servers, meaning every level ever made will still be playable. That random level you made 7 years ago, you can still play that. They've also archived Animal Crossing New Leaf, so all those dream suites will still be accessible through the game, even though right now, Animal Crossing isn't one of the supported Pretendo games, but once it is, it will have all that stuff. And I suppose while we're talking about the 3DS, let's move on to some 3DS games, and I find this one really, really cool. Triforce Heroes is a very underrated game. I will fight for that game any day. But one thing holding it back on the official servers is, for some reason, they region-locked online play. And not just online play, but local play too. Right here, we've got an American copy and a European copy. You can tell because the localization is different. And locally, they cannot connect. There's no way. However, online, on Pretendo, suddenly, these star-crossed lovers can unite. This is ahead of Nintendo Network. If you tried to play Triforce Heroes but couldn't because your friends were from Europe or America or Japan, that's not going to stop you now. Finally, more people can play this game. It won't just be something you can only play locally with your 3 friends who happen to have 3DSs on them. Full, online, global play is ready for this game. This wasn't the only game Nintendo region-locked. Mario Tennis Open was another one. That's not currently compatible with Pretendo, but once it is, that'll be global as well. Mario Kart 7 is of course one of the biggest games to preserve, and it's working flawlessly. For most of my 3DS tests, in the interest of time, I just kinda connected to myself, but I tried that for Mario Kart 7, and I found 5 other people. I didn't arrange this in their Discord, they were just here. Nintendo Network is still online, and they're playing here on Pretendo. I think this game's gonna be pretty popular here. And of course, this will also work with CTGP7. On the 3DS side, they've also got Ironfall working. Remember that game? That was kind of a Gears of War style game for the 3DS that supports the circle pad or the C-stick, and it's pretty good. The online fully works, every single feature is functioning. I remember dabbling with this game a bit back in the day, but I didn't explore it too much, and I'm kind of tempted to give it a second chance now that we can. 3DS 2, there's both big games and small games, and on the smaller side is Pokemon Rumble World. That game had a visitor system where you could allow online Miis to come into your plaza, and basically you find them and rescue them within the game, and then they just sort of live in your plaza with a custom message. Yeah, I miss the eShop too. But this just kind of makes Pokemon Rumble World a bit more exciting if you're planning to replay it sometime in the future. And another game that kinda really needs this feature is Team Kirby Clash Deluxe. This had very similar implementation, where basically you recruit adventurers via online, and then their CPUs visit your plaza, and you can recruit them to join you in battle. Team Kirby Clash gets very grindy and difficult, so without this feature, this game would be very boring and hard to play. And this is the latest game to appear for beta testers, Luigi's Mansion 2, and it worked flawlessly. Multiplayer is a ton of fun in this game, where you basically go around floors and clear them of ghosts, with your different kinds of coloured Luigis, and you can also send these little messages to each other. Who knows what the Switch version's gonna do, but regardless, multiplayer for 3DS is preserved right here. And this is still Divers Subwars, a free-to-play game, and matchmaking worked perfectly. 0 problems whatsoever, and this is another game that I never really played back in the day, but it's never too late for Steel Diver. And besides Mario Kart 7, this is one of the biggest games for online play on 3DS. Kid Icarus Uprising. Currently, it connects to the Together menu, which is the online portion of the game, but when trying to matchmake, I couldn't get my 3DSs to connect to each other. This does seem to work, but at least in my testing, I couldn't quite get them to connect. But clearly the networking is there, and we can't lose this game. The stability of Pretendo has grown exponentially since our last visit. Miiverse is perfect here, I never had a message not work, and the online play is working so damn well. Of course, I'd love to see more games supported, like Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, including the Miiverse stage, or the mainline Pokemon games, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Mario Golf World Tour. The basis is set though, and they'll be ready when they're ready. For now, we've got a selection of games with fully functional multiplayer and Miiverse, and that's something Nintendo have not given us in a very long time. And if you join their Discord, you can help out a ton with development, especially now before Nintendo Network officially shuts down. This is the final stretch for some of the research and archiving. Pretendo is using packet dumps, and once the servers go down on Nintendo's side, that reference material is gonna be gone. The project leader, John, not me, a different John, tells me that everything can still be found by decompiling or reverse engineering each game, but having these dumps is going to drastically speed up the process. So if you can help, join their Discord and talk to them. The same goes for spot pass data on Wii U and 3DS. Those really need to be dumped now at risk of them being lost forever. We've also got a link in the description for submitting network dumps, but again, talk to them, they'll help you, you'll help them. But Pretendo is bigger than all of this. All these tools they've developed apply to not just Wii U and 3DS, but a far broader library of software across a far broader library of platforms. John explained to me that for around half a year, they've been rewriting their core libraries for stability and accuracy, and once this rewrite is entirely done, it's going to open the door for far more games, even ones outside of the scope of Pretendo. In fact, it's already happened. Rock Band 3's Online has been revived on Wii, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 thanks to Go Central, and while I couldn't organize a game with anyone, you can see this Wii version is connected to the server. This is only possible because of the work from Pretendo. While there's still more work in getting these games all working, the basis is already there. John explained that game servers aren't typically built from scratch, and hundreds, if not thousands of multiplayer libraries were licensed from a company named Quasar, and then the developer would tweak them on a game-by-game basis. This is what powers the bulk of modern Nintendo games, but it's also what many other platforms are using to power their online games. Ubisoft acquired Quasar in 2010, and so it's very likely all of their multiplayer games are still powered by Quasar today. Pretendo's current library is written mostly for the Nintendo side, but once this rewrite is done, it's going to be far more similar to Quasar. And that's going to make a vast amount of networking revivals far more accessible, and that is absolutely huge. They're not only preserving Wii U and 3DS Online, but they're giving others the tech to preserve so much more. And on top of all of this, Pretendo's also got side experiments like incorporating achievements into Wii U games, but right now of course the focus isn't on that, it's on getting all these games running. Even if you can't support the team by becoming a beta tester or doing network dumps, I still urge you to spread the word of Pretendo. We are a month from losing a whole generation of multiplayer, but it doesn't have to go anywhere. If we can make Pretendo big, we can keep playing Pokemon X and Y and Sun and Moon Online, Kid Icarus Uprising, Super Smash Bros. All that stuff can work. We just need to work at it. I am so impressed by what they're doing, and the state they're in right now is very good. A lot is working, we can still play a bunch of games, but yes, there is more to do. So, let's help them out. So let's make it happen. Wii U and 3DS's online never has to die. I know it's always a joke about how far behind Nintendo's online infrastructure is, and yes, of course, in many ways it is, but they've made so many great multiplayer games, and even third-party stuff too. Stuff like Zombie U, that is so much more fun on Wii U than any other platform, and stuff like Tekken Tag Tournament 2? You got like Nintendo costumes, there's a very active community now. If that can be preserved, then hell yeah. So there's just so much potential for the future, both in terms of Pretendo and the extended reach of what they've achieved with their tools. So yeah, please support them, and let's just keep this boat rowing. Thanks for watching everybody, and I will catch you next time. Bye.